Morning, friends. Greetings and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements in my practice where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and often deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your vitality and health and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body. You are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health issue. That's why we're here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 29 years of practicing pharmacy, I've seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes and hypertension and obesity and skin diseases like psoriasis and eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds. Recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle. But what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human body, the human biological system is a healing system. It's a regenerating system. It is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while some folks may call that healing, renewing, regenerating system a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health or nutrition or prescription drugs, we're here for you. We welcome your phone calls on The Bright Side. Our number is 844-236-6010, 844-236-6010. Try to call early so we can squeeze in as many calls as possible. We have a guest coming up at the bottom of the hour, Natasha Trenev. She was on about a month ago or so, and we didn't get to finish up. Natasha is known as the mother of probiotics. In fact, Natasha is the woman who actually coined the word probiotics, the founder of the probiotic industry. And we're going to talk some good bacteria, microbes. Almost every day another article comes out about the importance of probiotics. If you have any digestive problems, you have any blood sugar problems. Did you know type 1 and type 2 diabetes are now being linked to dysbiosis, messed up gut bacteria? Probiotics are truly the primal foundational level of good health, and they're the foundation of the triangle of disease. It's where disease begins, at the level of the gut and at the level of the so-called microbiome, the universe of bacteria, the trillions upon trillions of bacteria that live in the gut. We're going to talk to Natasha Trenev, the mother of the probiotic industry. I'm not going to say the mother of probiotics. That doesn't sound good. The mother of the probiotic industry, bottom of the hour. So we'll get your calls here in our second segment, 844-236-6010. If you're interested in joining the longevity team, if you heard Dr. Wallach on George Norrie yesterday evening, I got tons of letters. I kind of want to go over some of these letters. I might do that for a little bit if we don't have calls. I might go over some of these letters. Folks who listen to George Norrie, obviously they're not familiar with our bright side philosophy here, with Doc's philosophy. And so some of these letters are kind of interesting. And if we don't have calls, we'll go over some of these letters in our second segment. 844-236-6010 is our phone number if you're interested in purchasing any of the Truth Treatment products, my retinol 5% gel, or any of the vitamin C products, Truth Serum, Truth Balm, or our Omega-6 Healing Cream. Please head over to truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. Okay, we're talking pigmentation issues, dark spots, hyperpigmentation. Technically, it's called melasma. The most important thing to recognize if you have hyperpigmentation issues is you have a body issue. No one just has melasma. No one just has pigmentation. Do you ever see hyperpigmentation, dark spots, blotchy dark spots, or melasma on a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old? No, it only happens as we're getting older. It only happens as the impact of nutritional deficiencies and toxicities and sugar and diabetes and dysbiosis and all the ways we break down. Melasma and hyperpigmentation only show up as these breakdowns accrue, as they add up. Melasma and pigmentation is part of the general breakdown of the body, and this is such good news because it means once we start addressing our blood sugar issues, once we start addressing our digestive toxicity and our dysbiosis and all the things we talk about at the basic levels, the fundamental levels of health, guess what? Your melasma will go away. Our pigmentation will disappear. Hyperpigmentation will disappear. And we'll add years to our life with no drugs, no dermatologists, no doctors. That's why I do this program, you guys. We don't need to be medicalized. If you get hit by a car, that's one thing. If you have an infection, that's another thing. Those are medical issues, truly. And praise God for the surgeons and even for antibiotics, as problematic as they are these days. But other than that, our health challenges are lifestyle issues. They are our business. There's a fascinating relationship between the chemistry of pigmentation and the chemistry of stress. Stress biochemicals, specifically cortisol, are intimately linked to pigment chemicals. Cortisol and pigment chemicals, stress hormones and pigment hormones are connected. The hormones that initiate pigmentation are connected to the hormones of stress. That's because when our bodies were being formed millions of years ago, in addition to wild animals, lack of food, and maybe lack of water, the sun was a major stressor. So over the course of evolution, over the course of millions of years, a link was formed between stress hormones and pigment hormones. And this idea of the global stress response, of a stress response that covers the blood system, a stress response that covers immune cells, a stress response that covers the skin, a stress response that covers weight gain. Do you know if you can't lose weight, that's a classic sign of a body in distress? That's a classic sign of stress hormones. And you don't need any magic formulas to lose the weight. You just got to figure out, why is your body in stress or in distress? And it's the same with pigmentation, and it's the same with inflammation, and it's the same with immunity. These are global stress responses. And when I say global stress, I'm talking about the entire body. That's what I mean by global. A uniform stress response that includes all the bodily systems from head to toe. Nobody just has a stress response in their joints. Nobody just has a stress response in their eyes or on their skin or anywhere else. It's global. It covers the whole body. Doctors actually call this SIRS. It's a fancy way of saying the whole body is falling apart. Systemic Inflammatory Response Syndrome. And they'll tell you it's an emergency. It's an acute emergency. In the reading from the August 1998 issue of the journal Shock, quote, "The problems of inflammation leading to organ dysfunction and failure continue to be major problems after injury and operations and with intensive care for many diseases and problems." That means that when you have an acute injury or when you have a surgical procedure, your body goes into a systemic inflammatory response. But guess what? It can happen gradually. It doesn't have to happen in response to an acute emergency. It can occur on a gradual continuum that gets worse over time. It can start off small. This systemic inflammatory response syndrome can start off almost imperceptibly. We don't even know it's happening because it happens at the level of a cell or 2 or 3 or 4. But then it gets worse. It's not like the only way we go into systemic system failure is acutely in an emergency. It's not like the only way we go into systemic inflammatory response, like turning on a switch. It can happen progressively and gradually over the course of time. And it can cover every system of the body, including the skin. Hyperpigmentation and blotchiness can be signs of this. Pretty much all degenerative diseases have an element of this emergency response. All of them. I get so many letters on macular degeneration. I can't tell you. That must be, you don't hear about it that much, except I get, maybe 5 letters a day on macular degeneration. Just last night, I got probably 6 or 7 letters after Doc was on George Norrie about macular degeneration. Well, if you got macular degeneration, forget the macula part, as serious as that is. It's a leading cause of blindness. The degeneration part is the part that you want to pay attention to. Degeneration is degeneration is degeneration, whether it's in the macula or the joints or anywhere else. And degeneration is part of the stress emergency response. Remember, the body's a healing system. The body is not a degenerating system by nature. We wouldn't have survived 2 million years. If our body was meant to degenerate and rot, we would have been long gone. We would have been extinct a long time ago. But we're not extinct. We survived millions of years because we're not a degenerative organism. Our bodies are not degenerative systems. They're regenerative systems, which means if we're degenerating and not regenerating, something is wrong. Something's getting into the system that's interfering. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. right, we are back on the bright side. We've got Dr. Natasha Trenov. I'm not sure if she's a physician or a PhD. Actually, she's not even a doctor, but she is the mother of the probiotic industry, the founder of the probiotic industry, and she's going to talk about super strains of probiotics, and we're going to talk about just exactly what bacteria are. You know, we talk about these things all the time, but we really don't have a grasp on what exactly these bacterial cells are. There's 100 trillion of the cells, supposedly. I don't know how anybody counts these things, but 100 trillion probiotic cells in the gut. I'm sorry, a quadrillion. There's 10 times more probiotic cells in the gut than there are human cells. That's an amazing concept right there. Anyway, we'll talk to Natasha Trenov about probiotics at the bottom of the hour. Did you hear Dr. Wallach yesterday on George Norrie? If you did and you have a comment or a question, I'd love to hear what you thought. I got tons of letters and do have some phone calls here. I wanted to address some of these letters, though, because, you know, for you guys listening to The Bright Side, you're hearing stuff that nobody else knows. We talk about the global stress response. We talk about all disease being cell disease and how you take care of a few little switches at the root level of your disease process and the leaves take care of themselves. All these ideas that I call the bright side philosophy. Most folks haven't heard of this. And so when I get some of these letters, you know, they're a little bit disconcerting because people don't realize how simple and how easy it is to restore yourself back to health. I got a letter here from Andrew who says, I heard the doctor on Coast to Coast talking about tachycardia. My 8-year-old son has this extra node firing and is on a atenolol for it. All right? I'm going to tell you about atenolol here in a minute. The experts, he didn't put it in quotes, but I'm going to put it in quotes, the experts in the hospital don't know why it's happening. Now I'm planning to take him to a chiropractor. This is from Andrew, a desperate parent. And I'm going to call Andrew, and I'll address this personally with him. But just so you guys know, just so anybody who's new to the program knows, and most of you folks have heard me say this before, tachycardia is a fancy way of saying a fast heartbeat. If your heartbeat is fast or out of control or the rhythm is wrong, you got an emergency. You got a freaked out heart like you have a baby in distress. Your heart is like a baby, and a tachycardia or a fibrillation or an arrhythmia represents a baby in distress. And the stupidest thing you could do, experts at the hospital, is poison this poor 8-year-old child with atenolol. Atenolol is a nasty beta blocker drug that literally, not figuratively, literally poisons the heart. An 8-year-old kid? Are you kidding me? You're going to poison the heart of an 8-year-old kid because you can't figure out why his heart is in tachycardia or his heart is freaking out? So this is a kid who needs to stop eating the way he's eating. That's the first thing. Probably sugar is involved. If there's any digestive issues, almost guaranteed there's going to be digestive issues. And I'll talk to this parent today, and I'll clue you in tomorrow on what I found out. If there's any food allergies, milk, gluten, grains, flour, whatever, that has to be controlled. And probiotics are a must-have. The Healthy Start Pack and the Mighty 90, also a must-have, especially the B complex. Children are so dependent on the B complex because they're moving fast. And I'm not just talking about their bodies on the outside. I'm talking about their metabolism and their chemistry is moving fast. It's dependent on vitamins, especially the Bs. And the heart is also dependent on the Bs. I guarantee you this is a child with B complex deficiency. Get them on the B vitamins. Get them on the Healthy Start Pack. Wean them off the sugar and the gluten and the food allergies. Get them on a good probiotic like the Biolumin Nightly Essence. These are all non-medical strategies that we can use. This is a body in distress. This 8-year-old kid's got a body in distress. Calm the body down. And, of course, deep breathing techniques are always a must. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. If you heard Doc yesterday, I'd love to hear what you thought. We do have a couple minutes here. Let's go to Paul in New York. What's up, buddy? Welcome to the Bright Side, Paul.
Hey.
Hey, Paul.
How you doing, Ben?
Is this Chicken Foot, Paul?
Yeah, that's me.
Chicken Foot. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I heard you talk to a caller about progesterone and
Pregnenolone.
Pregnenolone.
Yes, sir.
A couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So I went and looked at my cream that I've been using for 5 years.
Yeah.
Figured out the formula.
Yeah.
I'm only getting 20 milligrams.
That ain't very much, Paul. Is it progesterone or pregnenolone? What kind of cream is it?
Well, that was the progesterone.
That's nothing. You got to go to a pharmacy. When I had my compounding pharmacy, I sold it last year. But when I had my compounding pharmacy, I was making a 10% progesterone cream. That's 500.
Do it again.
I know. I will when I get my pharmacy again. I have a non-compete I had to sign so I can't do a pharmacy for a little bit. But as soon as my non-compete's up, I'm going to do another one, a compounding pharmacy. It'll be a skincare pharmacy. Anyway, I was making a 10% progesterone cream. That's 500 milligrams per teaspoon. And we were recommending a quarter teaspoon. That's 125 milligrams per dose. That's 6 times the amount that you're getting in your product. Is it 20 milligrams per dose or 20 milligrams in the whole product?
20 milligrams per pump.
Okay, so you need 6 times that much. You'll go through that whole thing in a couple of days.
So after listening to that, I did 100 milligrams, and I'm slathered in this stuff. You got to take a shower afterwards.
I can't help you there, my friend. Why don't you get some pregnenolone capsules?
I got some pregnenolone. It's
Did that make a difference?
Brand. It's 100 milligrams.
Now you're talking.
Per pill.
Yeah.
But it also has 25 DHEA.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that. Just get the straight pregnenolone, and then if you need DHEA, take that separate. And they're both good. DHEA is a little trickier, though, than pregnenolone. Pregnenolone you don't have to worry about. DHEA, if you take too much, you can break out a little bit or maybe lose some hair or get body hair. DHEA is a little bit more potent. I like sticking with pregnenolone. Can I finish this off? You can. See what happens. It's not going to kill you or anything. You may just break out a little bit. Yeah, take the 100 milligram pregnenolone, 25 milligram DHEA. See what happens.
I finish this off. I'll get the pregnenolone, 100 milligrams. Can I do one? Once I get just the pregnenolone, can I do 2 a day?
You'll have to see. If the side effects on pregnenolone are a little fatigue, it's not a big deal. You just get tired. And then the side effects on the DHEA, as I say, you may lose some hair. Your hair may start to thin. And you may, if you have prone towards oily skin or acne, you may start breaking out. But that's basically the only thing you have to worry about. You have to take a lot for that to happen.
Yeah, I hear you talking about 1 and 5 and 10 milligrams of DHEA on your
No, 10. I like a 10 milligram dose to start, and then working yourself up to 25 milligrams. There's no real way to know. You just got to go by your symptomology.
Okay,
all right.
Doc.
Thank you, Paul. God bless, man. Have a beautiful day, buddy. Chicken Foot Paul. All right. John in Missouri, what's up? Welcome to the bright side.
Yes.
Hey.
I've had some pretty bad problems for a while now, and it's taking me down to a pretty low level of weakness. First of all, I was exposed to severe black mold, living in that, and really bad. And then I've been overseas as a missionary in a foreign country in very primitive conditions and exposed to some pretty bad parasites and had a lot of them in me. And I've gotten rid of the mold now, and I've got rid of the parasites now. Also had the walking pneumonia, and I got rid of that.
Well, what do you have? How can I help you? What do you got going on now?
I have bad nail fungus,
okay.
memory loss.
All right. How old are you? How old are you, John?
And morning, a lot of stiffness.
How old are you, John?
69.
Okay, so your body's starting to break down, my friend. Forget the parasites, forget the mold, forget everything in the past. That's all. Let me finish, my friend. Yeah, it's all in the past. We need to get you strong now. We need to start you building up again. All right.
Right.
So step number 1: get a food diary or get a notebook and start a food diary where you write down everything you eat and how you're responding to those foods in terms of digestive symptoms, bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, anything. We need data. We need information about what's happening right now. Second step you're going to do is you're going to start to stabilize your blood sugar with the sweeties and more protein and more good fat, especially coconut oil and butter. Hey, John, I'm just out of time, man. Why don't you hang on the line? I'm going to talk to you off air, okay? Don't go away, John. I will talk to you off the air. Got Natasha Trenev coming up in the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk some probiotics. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back after this. We're back on the bright side. Thank you for joining us, friends. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on our archive page at brightsideben.com. If you missed a program, they're all archived. And you can also check out my blog, pharmacistben.com, and also my new blog with George Norrie, criticalhealthnews.com. You could purchase any of the longevity products you hear recommended or advertised on the program right off the websites, or you can call the phone team at 866-735-2470. All right, I am very excited. We're about my guest, Natasha Trenev, the founder of the probiotic industry. And we had her on about a month ago, and we got to talk about probiotics. Didn't get to talk anywhere near enough. In fact, you could do a whole show on a daily show on probiotics. Not a day goes by without multiple articles coming out about the importance of probiotics for autoimmune diseases and for digestive problems and for diabetes. And I was talking to Natasha off the air. Now we think scientists believe that probiotics in the atmosphere or bacteria in the atmosphere are actually responsible for controlling the climate. And some people believe that droughts are related to killing off of the microbiome in the environment. And we're going to talk to Natasha about some human biological aspects of probiotic health and good bacteria health of a healthy microbiome. Welcome to the Bright Side, Natasha. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you so much. I'm very delighted to do your show.
Thank you. And for the new listeners, why don't you just give a little bit of a nutshell biography just for a minute or two about how you got into probiotics and why they call you the founder of the probiotic industry.
Very briefly, my parents came to this country in the mid-1950s. I was a child. And in the mid-1960s in California, particularly Glendale, California, my father started a natural yogurt company called Continental Culture Specialists. And we were the first to introduce a liquid acidophilus and a natural-style Bulgarian yogurt that was sold to the health food industry exclusively. And because of my family's connection and work with my family into the mid-1970s, I decided to study on my own because I felt that there was something so important about these bacteria that we had to be able to concentrate them and deliver them to the human being in a way that they would survive the stomach acid and really have an impact on the 27 feet of the GI tract. So 7 years of research and collaboration with the University of Nebraska and North Carolina, I introduced the first single strain of Lactobacillus acidophilus, DDS1, to the health food industry, first through health practitioners and then to the retail stores. And that's how I started the whole category of probiotics, and look where it is today.
Well, what was the response when today people are almost, they hear it all the time. It doesn't shock anybody. But what was the response people had when you told them about bacteria, which everybody thought of, I'm sure, back then as germs? And what was the response people had when you said, no, these things are important for life. They're probiotic. They're for life. What did people say?
Well, it depends really on the individual. I mean, I've had mixed results. There were people who tried the product, didn't care what I was giving them because they felt so much better. And the way the whole business got started is miraculous because I was doing research down with a friend of mine at USC, and I was making sample of freeze-dried product in powder, was not even encapsulating it and giving it to nutritionists that I knew in Westwood, California. And in 48 hours, the man called me back and said, "Oh my God, what is this? It's revolutionizing my patients' health, and they're calling me up, begging me for this product." And before I knew it, people started showing up on my doorstep. The only discouragement I had was for the people who we call the leaders of our industry, the vice presidents and presidents of large vitamin companies, who thought I literally lost my mind. And were giving me names of therapists that I should go to because I really needed help.
They thought you were mentally ill because you were talking about bacteria, about good bacteria?
No, because I was going to sell a single-strain bacteria for $20, and it wasn't even a category. It didn't exist, and they just thought I lost my mind. That people are never going to buy friendly bacteria or otherwise and pay that kind of money for their health.
Well, now, what year are we talking?
That was the kind of pushback I had. And,
what year? What year was this?
I did grand rounds at UCLA in the mid-1980s and had, what I call reputable GI fellows tell me that the large intestine is sterile. And I said, okay, if you want to believe that.
Wow.
And wanted me to give them, clinical trials to show how each of these bacteria affect the 100 trillion bacteria that lie in our GI tract. It was absurd. It's almost an impossible thing to do. So, that was the kind of pushback I got.
Now, when you grew up in Russia, is that right?
No, I'm originally Yugoslav, and I came to the United States when I was 8 years old.
Were there fermented foods that you guys were eating in Europe, in Eastern Europe, as you were growing up?
My father was the official court supplier to the King of Yugoslavia. My father is Macedonian. He's no longer with us. But, my grandfathers, going back for 700 years, were involved in making yogurt and cheese and selling them to Western Europe or societies around them. And it's been in my family for literally multiple generations. And in a culture that lives in this is a staple in our culture. And to be recognized in a culture where this food is a staple, to be the leader or the purveyor of the finest yogurt and cheeses meant quite a bit.
Now, I got a question for you, because we talk about probiotics every single day on this program. I know, off the air, you and I were joking around. We said bacteria rule the world, and I believe that bacteria rule the world. And I find that a very interesting irony that we think human beings, the most complex animals on the planet, somehow are in charge, but it's really the simplest organisms, the bacteria. But here's an interesting question, and maybe a stupid question. I hope you don't find it stupid. What exactly are bacteria, and how are they different from us?
Well, bacteria are the simplest form of life. I mean, next to a virus who doesn't have a cell wall, but they're part of the prokaryotes in the definition of microorganisms, and they have a very simple cellular structure. And we thought that they were very simple and insignificant because of the simplicity of their structure. But actually, they're simple for a reason, because they can adapt to almost any situation and become building blocks of more complex organisms or entities.
So they
as a matter of fact, we as a human entity are 90% microbes and only 10% human cells.
Would you say that they're like a...
So they are very clever. They have an intelligence, and they always operate in their own best interest. They're not philanthropic. They're very, centered in their objective to sustain their own kind and proliferate.
Would you say that they're like a substrate for life above them to be built that help life, more complex forms of life structure themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As I tell people that's why the concept of probiotics and giving these microbes in the right proportion, in the right product is so important. And what we used to do historically is just, ferment foods, which is fine. They're functional foods. But now we understand the complexity, and you really have to know what organisms you're taking as probiotics, how they're surviving shelf life, how they're surviving the gastric juices to impact the 27 feet of your GI tract. So it is a very serious and complex issue and should not be tackled by people who just want to sell.
Natasha, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some product and also want to talk about a couple specific health issues. Don't go away, Natasha. You're listening to The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side talking to Natasha Trenev, the founder of the probiotic industry. We're going to talk a little product stuff. Before we get into that, Natasha, why did you pick Acidophilus as your first bacteria, just for curiosity's sake?
Well, because Acidophilus historically has been around and considered safe and efficacious. And, before anybody knew anything about probiotics, if your organism wasn't an L. acidophilus, it was not accepted as a probiotic.
I didn't know.
And, Acidophilus, we have such a safety history on it that it's really incredible. And I chose strains that can actually produce hydrogen peroxide and bacteriocins, which is a very important feature in order to get some kind of dominance in your small intestine.
So in other words, you chose bacteria that would produce hydrogen peroxide as a weapon, so to speak? Is that what you're thinking?
And
very interesting.
But the reason this is so brilliant is that they produce the hydrogen peroxide in microns, and they don't produce it just because they want to. They produce it to dominate their area, so they don't damage the cellular structure of the body. And, they do that to gain dominance over their territory. So that's very important. So you have to understand the organism that you're selling, not only from a biological reference, what it does in the body, how you can manufacture it so it survives manufacturing, handling, and distribution, and how it reaches your body, and whether it can make it to the small intestine intact. It's almost like rocket science, really. It's very important because the party selling this product really has to understand the science behind it from many angles in order to incorporate all the criteria necessary to choose, first of all, a safe and efficacious bacteria for this giant, 27 feet of GI tract.
Okay, so before I forget here, Natasha's website is natren.com, Natren, natren.com. Natasha, I want to ask, first of all, you said something very interesting about the hydrogen peroxide. Am I to, can I infer that you can use these probiotics, you can use probiotics or good bacteria that produce hydrogen peroxide topically as anti-infective reason?
No, because they don't produce it because you want them to. Remember what I said, bacteria are very smart. They only produce it, in order to dominate their territory. That first of all, you have to know that they're capable of doing this, but they never waste cellular energy doing stuff to please you. They do it in order to dominate their preferred area of inhabitation.
Have you heard about topical probiotics? Their skincare industry is kind of abuzz with this as the latest active ingredient. Have you heard of anything about this?
Well, look, I came up with the first probiotic face cream and face mask that was given to dermatologists, estheticians in the 1980s. So I told them just to use the fresh powdered probiotics that I sold and mix it with a clear gel aloe vera or with milk and apply it topically to the face. But the stuff that they're selling now, that they're calling probiotic face creams, a lot of these people, this is the problem, don't understand what they're selling, and the products currently in the market have little or no value.
Now, your products are all up at natren.com, and you have quite a few of them. If somebody wants to get started simply, just for an all-around product, what would you recommend?
Well, I recommend either our Healthy Start system, or if you want our flagship Healthy Trinity, and you have health issues you want to address, then it's good to start with a Healthy Trinity. But there's something that I instigated. That we have real probiotic consultants. People say, "Oh yeah, we got consultants standing by," but many of these people have been with the company 10 or more years. I have one that's been with the company 19 years, and these are dedicated people that really help you choose a program to suit yourself. And that's what I'm, this is why I'm still working, even though I should be taking it easy by now. But I feel like this concept is still not understood, and I'm grateful that the concept has grown. But there's so much misinformation out there that I worry that people are not going to understand how important this is or how to utilize the products.
Okay, I only got a couple more minutes. I want to talk about two things. Number one, pets. Animals, dogs, cats, gerbils,
yes.
Domesticated pets. They benefit from probiotics too. I've seen.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I brought the concept because it was first in the animal husbandry industry. In other words, people who grow animals for profit. They gave antibiotics prophylactically to make animals gain weight. And grow fat. And then we found out that that's not so good because those animals were very unhealthy. So then a few of the smarter, growers started switching to probiotics. And then originally I got the idea. I said, hey, if people are giving these products to animals because they grow them for profit, why shouldn't human beings, have the same advantage and learn about how these products can really transform their lives? And that's really what got me fired up to introduce this concept for human beings.
All right, now we only got a couple more minutes, so I want to cover two topics that I think have a very important relationship to good bacteria in the gut, probiotics in the gut. One is diabetes. More and more I'm hearing about the relationship between dysbiosis, that is messed up gut bacteria for the listeners, dysbiosis and blood sugar. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Well, dysbiosis means exactly what it means is that there is not a optimal balance between bacteria in your gut, and bacteria actually can stimulate the reduction of insulin so that they have more sugar available for themselves. We never understood that the bacteria are also found in our blood. In fact, 15 years ago, it was a revolutionary finding that bacteria are also in our blood. So it's a long scientific, lecture. So I'm going to give you the condensed version that, yes, the diet that we eat, the processed food, the sugary foods, actually stimulate the growth of certain bacteria in our gut, and those bacteria then stimulate the interference of the production of insulin and also the factor of insulin resistance. It's really quite eerie. It's more than science fiction if you understood what's going on in your gut.
Yeah, so you're saying that there's actually probiotic, good bacteria in the blood.
Well, not just good bacteria. There's bad bacteria.
Well,
in the
bad
blood
bacteria,
as well.
yes, I know, but there's actually good bacteria in the blood. There's actually
yes. So good,
Very interesting.
just like bad bacteria can get in your blood, good bacteria can get in your blood.
And the good bacteria in the blood have a function. They're functional. They have they serve.
They're functional. We don't know exactly how they're functional, but I know that they for instance, there's an interference with some of the body's function, and since they've been around with us from the beginning of time, that's why this optimal balance is so important, and that's why you have to know what probiotic you're taking, that you're getting it from somebody who knows what they're selling you, because these bacteria are ubiquitous and they function for their own benefit. So the bacteria have to be safe and they have to be efficacious.
Is there a number in terms of billions of units that people want to start off with, or does it just depend on the person?
Well, no, first of all, there's a play now in the industry, what I call the numbers game. People are seduced into buying products with large numbers like 50 or 100 billion. Well, those numbers are only significant if the bacteria cells are not stressed and if they can survive shelf life and the stomach acid. But, we have what we call a full culture process where our 2 billion are probably more efficacious than the 100 billion that's on the shelf, because it comes with its own nurturing growth medium and can survive shelf life in your stomach acid, and has what we call the supernatant factors, or the fermentation end products, which are equally important as the living bacteria itself.
And those are included in your product?
Yes, that's why if you start either with, keep it simple, either a healthy start kit, or the flagship, which is Healthy Trinity. And that's why it's important that you call and talk to one of our consultants, because they'll tell you how to structure a program that benefits you most.
Okay, that's natron.com, and it's 8664-NATRON. Is that the number you're talking about?
Yes, 86 is for nature. And I just want to say that it's so important, because I'm also the author of 2 probiotic labeling standards that was, read into a congressional record. And it's so important for people to become familiar what they need to look in order to find an efficacious product, because I would tell you that virtually 99% of the product available in the marketplaces are not made by the people selling them. And that's what my mission in life is. Whether you buy Natron or not is irrelevant. What it is you need to know more about these probiotics than you do about your iPhone if we're going to change the health concepts for the 21st century.
Natasha, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything. And really, thank you for your work, because it is a very, very important work. Probiotics are the foundation, the fundamental aspect. And I know you agree, the fundamental aspect of health, good bacteria in the gut. Thanks, Natasha. Have a beautiful day. Good to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a wonderful day.
You too. God bless you. That was Natasha Trenev. Natron.com, 8664-NATRON. If you're interested in learning more. Probiotics are the bomb. Of course, I love the Biolumin Nightly Essence. In any case, fermented foods, probiotics, good bacteria, the Healthy Start Pack. There's so many ways that we can be healthy, and none of them require prescriptions, doctors, the medical model, Obamacare. That's what we're all about here on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening, friends. We'll be back at you tomorrow with more good health information. Have an awesome, spectacular, beautiful day. Bye for now.